everybody, this is James,
Marco,
and Nabil.
And this is the Movie Palace Podcast, podcast number 222. Today we are going to be reviewing Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Let's get into it.
It's very important you fully prepare yourselves for what you're about to see. No sudden moves. No loud noises.
Hey, Butterfly. It's Mom and Dad.
Yeah, we are here. We're here.
She's been missing for 8 years.
What was our daughter doing in a 3,000-year-old sarcophagus?
Lee Cronin's The Mummy. This is sitting at a 47% of Rotten Tomatoes. The synopsis is the young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she is returned to them as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare. This is written and directed by Lee Cronin, who wrote The Hole in the Ground in 2019, and wrote and directed, and also wrote and directed Evil Dead Rise, most recently in 2023. On a budget of $22 million, at least when I wrote this outline, it's sitting at a worldwide box office of $34 million. So not doing the greatest right now, but it was released on April 17th, 2026 in theaters. This stars Jack Rayner as Charlie Cannon, Leia Costa as Larissa Cannon, May Kalamui as Detective Dahlia Zaki, Italia Grace as Katie Cannon, Shiloh Molina as Sebastian Cannon, Billy Roy as Maud Cannon, Veronica Falcone, as Carmen Santiago, and Hayat Camille as the Magician. Let's get some impressions, guys. I'm going to start with you, Marco. Did you like this movie at all? And how was your theater experience?
No, this one was not for me, man.
I would assume.
I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I also didn't enjoy it. There were some good parts about it, but for the most part, it just, and this is something I've been hearing too after seeing it, is that it just feels like a poor man's Exorcist sequel. Like, this feels like a restructured Exorcist sequel, truthfully, as opposed to, like,
I can see that,
what the title says, which was a bit disappointing for me because it's supposed to be The Mummy, and I know it's his version, and I expected creative freedom, but it kind of felt like this movie didn't know its own identity. My theater experience was not well. I mean, there was probably maybe 8 other people there, and those were couples. I saw this one by myself.
Damn, what did you see? What day you see it on?
Sad.
I also saw it Sunday, but I saw it late Sunday night.
Okay.
Yeah. I had my son, and I wasn't sure if this was appropriate for him, and lo and behold, it wasn't. So I ended up just asking my mom if she could watch him, and then I went to go see it at night.
Yeah. You're going to say he ended up watching it, and we learned really fast that he wasn't supposed to.
No, I mean, he probably like in the daytime, probably watch it and then watch something funny after. But yeah, it was a meh experience.
Okay. What about you, Nabil?
Yeah, I had mixed feelings about the film. I didn't hate it.
I saw your Letterboxd rating.
Yeah, like it was. I like the plot a lot. I do think there are some threads that he didn't really fill. Like there's some gaps in the movie. I was like, I don't understand how this is, like, why this is happening this way, which we'll talk a little bit about the plot itself. But like overall, the premise was interesting to me, especially how it started. It was it really got me into the story about where they start in Egypt and then where they go afterwards. Like, that was interesting. Yeah. It's basically as we start getting in between, like a little bit more. I wouldn't even say like the full third act, but like maybe a little past the halfway point of this film, it starts getting a bit like, why is this happening this way? Like, it just doesn't make any sense logically. But to say that, outside of the plot too, the gore aspect of it, Evil Dead Rise vibes were really coming my way. Like there was a couple scenes where I was like covering my eyes, like I just can't look at this. It was too intense for me.
There's some pretty gross scenes in this one.
Yeah, it was pretty. It reminded me of. So it makes sense that he like did Evil Dead Rise, right? Like that goriness. Yeah. It was a bit over the top. So interesting, not necessarily a bad thing. And again, some of those aspects is like okay, you're trying to go for the shock thing, but you didn't go all the way. But there's also a little bit of story that goes along with some of the stuff they're showing. Like, like there's something here. It just wasn't. I just felt like it could have been a bit more, I guess, directional. Like, I feel like they were going at a certain point, they were splitting the film up, and I'm like, we could have just kind of stuck in the middle with like the whole Egyptian story and continued on with that thread. But yeah, I digress. So, and as far as the theater experience is concerned, I had a decent size. I think it was about halfway full. So
you saw it you earlier than us, I think, right?
Yeah, I saw it on. No, actually, I ended up having to see it on Sunday morning. Yeah, so I saw it
Sunday morning. Wow, jeez.
Yeah, I said the 11 o'clock.
Sunday
show.
trifecta.
And it was still pretty good. It was like I said, it was a half full theater, and we had I don't know, I think it's like a 60-seat theater or something like that. So it was pretty good. How about you, James?
I'm kind of middle between you guys, honestly. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was great. I'm pretty mid on this one. Like, I liked Evil Dead Rise a lot. So coming into this, it felt like an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You know, like I was just like, is this a sequel? What's going on here? So I did think a lot of it was creepy. The story, I think, is probably the weakest plot still, because there's a lot of moments where I was kind of just laughing to myself with some of the actions that happen. And honestly, if you saw it a little inebriated, I can almost think about it like it could be a really funny movie. Deep down, just
yeah.
There are some questionable things. I am looking forward to talking about it with you guys. I think for the most part, though, I do get that sense, Nabil, of that kind of story. There is a good story somewhere deep in here. Especially, I think that first half really kind of sets the tone, and then
I agree there.
it just kind of never brings it back, because there are some pretty creepy moments, especially when you find out what happens to Katie. It's like, holy crap, this is pretty like sad, you know. Especially, I mean, I only have nieces and nephews and such, but if anything like that happened, that'd be devastating. But my theater experience was pretty terrible, actually, honestly.
Oh,
we just had there was a decent. I mean, there wasn't that many people. Saw it like 6:30, 6:45 showing. Just because I wanted to see it in the IMAX showing, they only had like so limited times to see it in that way. And there's these kids talking in the back, so I'm like, yeah, I definitely yelled at one point. So
you're the adult now, James. You can do it.
Oh, I was ready, dude. I was like, am I going to go out there and whoop some kids' asses right now? I was like, fuck. I was like, I might do it. And honestly, the movie runs way too long. It does not need to be 2 hours and 15 minutes.
That was one of my
long.
major gripes with it. Specifically in the middle. It's like you said, it had a strong start. I agree with Nabil that the Cairo Egyptian stuff was really good. It's when they start getting to the whole investigation thing. It's like at one point in the movie, there's 3 freaking investigations going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And this is the type of plot where it's so simple and so weak that you want to just shorten that and just get to like the meat of it. Like we already know what the answer is, but they just keep dancing around like, what is it? What is it? And we're like, it's a scene where they're mummy, dude.
They're watching a VHS tape for. I'm like, oh, we're gonna watch the whole thing. Okay, cool. I thought we could just fast forward this part maybe a little bit.
The whole thing, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I honestly, I kept thinking that they keep going back, because obviously this is not a spoiler, but Katie's, been mummified, and there's all these things going on where she's like kind of causing havoc to everybody. They keep kind of repeating the same thing over and over, in my opinion, where I'm like, I already get it. Like the grandma's gonna get messed up every time I see her, right? So like, let's just
and it was spread out way too much. Yeah. Spread out way too much.
So talking about the plot then we kind of already somewhat talked about it, but did that tone work for you though, Nabil, when it worked? Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like the moments like Cairo, the Egyptian parts, yes, I think worked too. But what about that tone of it all? Was it like, obviously this is a much different interpretation. I don't know if you guys have seen, obviously you guys have probably seen all the Brendan Fraser ones, right?
All right.
I'm assuming. And they're going to make a 4th one. We already know that too. But I don't know if you've seen like the original Mummy back in like the 30s, 40s.
I saw the original one, and I'm sure I saw some fun parodies of like, like I think I saw like the Abbott and Costello one, like a parody.
Oh, okay.
Like I saw some of the weird ones as well, but I don't think I've seen much of the.
I don't think those are canon.
Mummy.
Yeah.
They might be now.
Which it does have some throwbacks to that original like 30s one, by the way. So it's kind of cool.
So as far as the tone is concerned, I actually liked. This is probably not the right word to say, but I liked the idea of the story of like this family went through serious trauma, like a kid went missing, and then like again the Cairo stuff works, and then us coming back to the family, seeing the dynamic, wanting to take care of their daughter and stuff like that. Like, I actually really liked that. That was it was different as far as a monster movie is concerned too. Like the storyline was great, and we felt a sense of like there was one part where there was a bit of tension between the parents, which I really enjoyed. I was like, okay, yeah, see, we're getting into something here that they're just tried to bury for the last however many years, and like here we go, right? But
Where
then
you
nothing
talking
really
about
comes of
when he talked to her on top of the staircase?
yeah, they're arguing, yeah. I was like, so there's something here. We're gonna pull on this thread, but no, we end up focusing more on just, I guess, the daughter and her kind of becoming, like having weird powers and doing certain things. And so it goes away from focusing on the parents and like the trauma part of it. And then again, like Marco was saying, like focusing on even the investigation in Cairo to just kind of like seeing what's going on with the mummy aspect of it. And that, I think those scenes are too long. And I think they're long because they want us, like Lee Cronin wants us to see the goriness and kind of be creeped out. It's like, hey, this is a horror film. But I think we sat with it too long, to be honest. And so that took away a lot of time from the plot to move forward. And then I liked, to be honest, like after we got the whatever scenes in Albuquerque when they were doing the horror aspect of things, I liked that we got the reprieve of cutting back to Cairo to go through whatever. It's like, okay, great. I got a little, time to like sit with whatever I just saw
Okay,
and let's go back into the story, so that,
because
that
nothing
helped me
really
a little
moves.
bit.
Nothing moves
Yeah.
much in Albuquerque, honestly. It's just like, okay, we already
Exactly.
know what's going on there. Like, so I guess we'll just switch over and see a plane crash now or something, or
Yeah, exactly.
or
Yeah.
investigating things and uncovering things, right?
Mhm.
Nabil, your comment on the gore, I wish that would have focused more on Katie as she was becoming more and more like a mummy. Like that's where I wanted more of the horror aspect to focus on like the quote unquote titular character, and the scares coming more from her. That's why I feel like the her powers or whatnot, they're too spread out. Like just have them more like consecutively with her, and that would probably like make it a faster paced movie and a better paced movie too. It's also like an investigation with the professor in Albuquerque too, and asking him about hieroglyphics and stuff. That dude shows up for like 2 scenes and he's gone. He was like,
Is
"Oh,
he just
see
here
you
to
later."
validate everything? Like, I don't know why. They
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was
D-list
dozing
Russell
off around that
Crowe.
time. I won't even lie. I was dozing off during that time. I was like, oh God, what's going on? I was like, he can't. Did he come by the house? No, probably not.
No,
I think he met him in his
he
office.
called him, dude. I think he
He
called
called
him.
him. Yeah.
There's a lot of phone conversations in this movie.
I talked to Mikey about it because we saw it together. So unfortunately, he's not here. But actually, Mikey enjoyed the movie. By the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
Wait, he's right there.
But it was even hard to pinpoint at first because I was like, when does this take place?
Yeah. The timing is a little weird. Mm-hmm.
It is actually modern day, but then like first they had a VHS player, and I was like, why the fuck do they got a VHS player? Then I was like, oh, because the grandma's like super old, so they were living in the grandma's house.
There was a Taylor Swift concert, and I was like, this was 8 years ago. Would she have been as big of a fan of a Taylor Swift back then? Like, I don't even know that.
Yeah, they would have.
I guess so. Yeah.
But it was like, if you think about it, there's a lot of. Then there's like, oh, the kid has like wireless headphones on. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I was like, there's a few things, but man, I gotta say, like, I don't know about you guys, but I prefer more the adventure type, kind of like the Brendan Fraser movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In my
Absolutely.
opinion, those are just a lot more, in my opinion, like fun to watch.
Yeah.
I know, and there are creepy aspects to it, but it's not scary in my opinion. At least when I was a kid, I probably thought it was kind of creepy. So
I kind of do too, because the thing with like the Mummy, like when you hear the Mummy, like you expect to see like a at least somewhat of a classic mummy
Wrapped
figure
them
or
in
something
bandages.
that's like
not some
more
freak.
supernatural. I like that Lee Cronin wanted to go a different direction, and I also agree that somewhere in there's a good movie. It's just
Yeah,
I think with a little editing and trimming, I think it could be a pretty decent interpretation,
too.
more grounded version of the
Yeah.
Mummy, which I get that's what he was trying to go for. But with it's just so like heavy in the middle, again with the whole stupid investigation part of it, that it loses traction, and you're in the middle, like you, James. I was bored too. Surprised I didn't knock out in the middle, but
I knocked out for like 10 minutes at one point. Yeah,
and it just, again, it feels like actually like a mix of like 3 movies, like a mix of like Exorcist, Evil Dead, and even some of Hereditary too. I got some of those vibes from the whole like funeral scene, and
yeah.
I felt like it was losing its quote unquote mummy identity. Like I get trying to go a different direction, but it's like really try to like make it your own original direction rather than borrowing from like 3 or 4 different movies, in my opinion. That's I don't know.
Did you guys see the Tom Cruise one?
No.
No.
Okay, because then we can't even talk about. I mean, I saw that one, and I almost feel like this was like a course correction from that one. That's why, because that one also kind of didn't have its own identity. So maybe they were like, let's like really lean into like a real horror. Because after probably Evil Dead Rise, they're like, this guy can handle horror, right? So maybe that's why it went in that direction. That's at least that's what I'm thinking, at least.
I don't hate
that was a good movie too.
I don't hate that this went in a more like horror focused direction, but to like, even again going to what like Marco was saying, this film doesn't really, outside of the Egyptian aspect of things, this doesn't really have its own identity, because it does, like, it's a girl in a bed that they're caring for, that crazy stuff is happening to her and the family around them, and we've seen plenty of films like that. The Exorcist, even Evil Dead films, like there's plenty of movies that are kind of like The Conjuring, like we've seen that kind of stuff, and so it isn't, while it's got a different kind of background in the sense of the mummy aspect of things, we're not seeing anything really new. So I don't know where, like, that's again why I say, like, there's a plot here about investigating a girl's disappearance and how things happened and like why we're going over here. And while it's interesting to see this girl become the mummy slowly, it's the way they go about it doesn't seem very original. In fact, the most original things about this are the gory aspects of it. Even like there's a scene where it happens to the grandmother, and they even make a comment as like something happens to her that's tragic, and one of the parents say, "I've never seen that happen before," or something like that, because it was like a very intense thing with a bunch of coyotes or wolves or something like that. So it's like, yeah, there are visual, like, horror aspects that are visually striking and terrifying, and that's cool. But from a plot perspective, it's not original. There's not, they focus. I think, like you said, James, like, as far as editing is concerned, if he trimmed it down a bit, just kind of focused more on the story, because there is a good story being told here, we would have had a much more stronger and original film, rather than we spend so. Even the funeral scene we were talking about, that scene takes so long. I forgot. I was sitting in, and it was like, are we like near the end of this film? Because this is such a long part of the film, and it's not. There's a whole nother act after this.
Honestly,
but,
I like that funeral scene, by the way.
It was good. It was just very long. Like,
it is.
It's just another long thing that we were sitting with. So.
I think, like Marco said, that if it was edited a little tighter, because it is trying to build like a tension, because you see things happening that no one else is seeing.
Yeah.
So
and I think that the tension, I think, works for like a movie like Evil Dead Rises, where you don't really know what the reveal is going to be, or a movie like Hereditary, you don't know what the reveal is going to be. But we all in the audience, we all know it's a mummy, like, and that, I think, is what makes the slow reveal kind of like, dude, hurry up. We all know what it is. Like, we know the characters don't know, but we know, so we're bored, because we want you to get to the punchline, and we want the characters to know, so we get the story rolling. So I think that's kind of where it got messed up a little bit. And
yeah,
like
let's talk about some of the characters, though, because we're jumping around it. Like, what did you think, Marco, of Charlie, then, the dad?
You know what? I really like that actor. I really like Jack Rayner.
I do too, but I was trying to think. I'm like, is he always an asshole in every movie, though?
See, I don't think he was that. I think this is the one where he's like the least bit of an asshole besides Sing Street. Like, I think he's not that much of an asshole in this. I think because he cared about his kids. He was really concerned about his daughter, and
yeah, he seemed like a good guy.
I think
okay,
really
was that conveyed well enough, though, that like his guilt of, like, because I mean, kind of I'm not really a spoiler, but Katie's kidnapped right in the beginning, and he was supposed to be watching her. Like, right. I don't feel like they ever dive deep enough into like his regret on that, honestly. Outside of the, like you said, Nabil, there's this scene where he's arguing with Larissa about it, and it's kind of like, it's kind of under the waves of like, hey, does she like blame me actually for losing her to begin with, and all this is my fault kind of thing. But we don't really get much outside of that.
They hovered around it very little when his wife mentioned his obsession with trying to find out what happened to Katie. And that was a manifestation of his guilt, because he legit like didn't know what the heck happened to his daughter, and it happened on his watch. And he had been carrying this guilt for so long that I think he wanted that closure to know what it was
happened?
and to see if maybe he did everything he could to find her or to prevent it, which probably as a dad, that's probably what I would obsess for over as well too, is like, did I do everything correctly, or what were my mistakes?
I think but then Larissa sees it in a way like, oh, it's because like, you know, he because of this, he ends up not going to New York, you know, and then they move back with her mom in Albuquerque, and he's kind of in like a much lower role in like a local TV station from the look of it. So she kind of throws it at him like, oh, you just want to do this because this is like, you just got to find out and do research. But I genuinely think he is just trying to find out what happened, because he says it several times where he's like, we have to know what happened, you know? So
yeah, I think her comment was the influence of the mummy, because a little after that they state that like the entity will fester things and will make things like more chaotic. God.
I mean, but it is funny with Larissa. She's like, I could take care of her. I'm like, you sure about that? Yeah, dude. I gotta say, shouldn't she have been in like a place for like a year or two before she came back to society? I feel like, in my opinion, kind of fast. Like, hey, we'll throw her on her plane. I'm like, didn't see the plane ride. That must have been weird.
Look, man, I'm not religious or that spiritual, but even if I would have seen her in that state, I legit would have asked the doctor, dude, is she possessed? I would have been like, dude, look, man, I just wanted, look, we've done everything scientifically possible, but is she fucking possessed?
Yeah, like, hey, she don't look too good, buddy. Like, I don't think that's normal.
I'm just like,
saying.
I'm sure horror movies exist in this universe, so.
Yeah, especially I was like, is this the same universe as the Wolfman? Because this is creeping me out a little bit. What did you think about Katie though, Nabil? Like the look of her too.
It was definitely weird. I mean,
it was weird. It was weird.
I don't know what I was expecting, I guess, but when they showed her, I was just like, I guess it makes sense. Like, she looks disfigured because she would have been mummified before they unwrapped her. So I was like, okay, that works. But then, I guess a little bit of the wrapping. This is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but there were still some bindings on her that I guess they just didn't notice when they took off the other wrapping off of it, because it was so much a part of her skin. Because, like, so when they were starting to peel away from that, I was we'll
talk about that a little bit more. I think,
yeah. But I mean, like, so there was like more of her like looking normal, I guess, underneath that, but we never get to really see that till the very end, which again also looks a little weird when she's quote unquote normal. But yeah, I think the look is fun.
I'm not going to say anything about that. I'll say that they picked someone that had a unique look to her. I'll say that much. Like,
okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't look at her IMDb or anything, so I don't know what she looks normally. But yeah, I mean, I guess the look worked fine. It just it wasn't very much a mummy. Like, it was just somebody who, like I said, I guess was wrapped for so long, and this is kind of what she looks like now. So
yeah, she's creepy. She's doing the clicking noise and just God.
As far as acting's concerned, she sold it. She did the weird ticks. Yeah.
She does a little tongue under the door trick.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought of Marco. He's like, I got you toesies. So
I was fucking dying. I was like,
speaking about the other kids, what about Sebastian and Maud? I'll keep it open floor for anybody there. Anything stick out with them? I thought honestly Sebastian would, I don't know, man up a little bit, but I guess not.
Oh, he's barely in it. I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, honestly, Maud's more of it. The youngest daughter.
Yeah,
she never knew. She is. She's from another movie I saw recently. So
a little bit of a bait and switch, because the beginning makes it look like it'd be an interaction between Zeb and Katie, but it's really more, you know, the little girl and Katie. And I was like, oh, but they had that whole little. They had a little, like, not fight, but this little argument at the beginning of the movie, and they don't even call back to it until the very end. I almost forgot about it. I was like, oh yeah, he threw the freaking doll off the roof.
Over the roof, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't do enough with it, honestly. Any other character standouts, you guys? I thought the magician was creepy.
Yeah, she was creepy. I think
I liked I like that fact that like technically she'd been like coming around a few times already. I like that they didn't have to show that. Like you figure it out when he finds all the candy wrappers. I was like, oh, I like that setup.
That's a great way to kind of, do something without exposition, right? Like you just kind of know that this has been going on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I don't want to spoil.
We can talk about spoilers. That's fine.
I like Detective Dahlia Zaki because at first they make it seem like she'd just be a throwaway character and like not good at her job, but she actually really was good at her job and got shit done. And for a moment, her scenes though do feel like a completely different movie. And I'm just like, oh wait a minute, wait, this is a movie. Why does it feel like a detective movie right now? But still, like I thought she came in clutch towards the end too.
What about the look of the movie? I want to bring up one thing. I'm getting tired of in these horror films. Can people turn a light on in the room?
Why is it always dark?
They got they got 2 light bulbs in the house, and they just swap them in the houses. I know they're setting the tone, which is creepy, but dude, this is like the second or third horror film I've seen this year where I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, why would you clean the bathroom with the lights out still and it's all dark and
trying to save electricity?
No.
Well, also this is
2026.
This is like a house that's like Pueblo style in Albuquerque, and then the inside is not the same thing as what the outside looks like.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's very old.
Yeah.
It
looking
doesn't
homes.
actually
Like,
match
that's not how
up.
that would have been built. Yeah,
There's even
I've seen
walls that
Breaking Bad.
they go through these little wall things, and it's like 6 feet of like space in there. I'm like, that
it
doesn't
makes
make
no sense.
structurally. This makes no sense, but I mean, okay, but. Outside of me bitching about light bulbs, what did you guys think about the overall look of everything, like the horror sequences especially?
I mean, it was like again, it was as far as the look of it, it reminded me a lot of like again, I go back to Evil Dead Rise, like just like the film. It's got the dark tone. It's not a lot of lighting. It focuses on just a certain spots. Everything seems. I will say there was a scene that I thought was a really good reflection of the movie, which was when the mod goes to the bathroom and she goes in because she's scared. It's in the middle of the night and she's scared, and so she runs across the way, turns on the light to go inside there, and then leaves the room.
She's the only one.
I was like, good for you. Like at least you make sense. And
that's something definitely a kid would do, or me when I stay by myself here. So.
Yeah.
I like the look of the
hello.
I like the look of the funeral scene, even though it went on a bit long. It made things look and feel uneasy, and there's a lot going on, and it's perfect enough to hide the creepy shit coming from the roof, and then
I can't believe they didn't wipe that stuff away when you saw it the first time.
Right?
Yeah, and the fact that it smells too.
Dude,
I
it's
was
like
did you say it
acid. He's
stink?
like burning through, and there's a lot of. That's my issue with this movie the most is like there's a lot of stupid choices people make. Like even when they bring Katie home, they bring her up the stairs and they're hitting every stair, and I was like,
bro,
Katie weighs like 60 pounds, and then the next scene he's easily carrying her into the bed. I'm like,
All right.
couldn't just bring her up the damn stairs? The hell you doing, man? Didn't he just say no
seriously.
sudden movements and loud things?
Yeah, no loud noises, and it's like hard thunks.
Yeah.
Or even a thing, the funeral scene, like when everything kind of unravels at the end, there was people in that house, and then they just kind of left them alone. Like there were no cops or anything because stuff happened that police would have been involved with.
I want to talk about that after too. By the way, we'll talk about that.
There was a lot that happened that is just like they're treating it like it's just like normal shit. I'm like, that's not normal. Like that's just not normal, dude. I don't give a fuck who you are. Like I would be like, we got to figure out what the hell's going on. Lastly, the deviled eggs part, bro. Come on, you can't tell it's blood. Give me a fucking break, dude. That ain't Tabasco sauce, all right?
I think they were kind of like, oh, well, it's supposed to be paprika, right, or something on top of deviled eggs. So maybe they thought that part grossed the fuck out of me though, because I'm not even a big fan of deviled eggs to begin with. But it is funny they're deviled eggs, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's actually a really good point, Marco, though, in regards to that scene, because it's supposed to bring some levity, right? Like that's supposed to be comedy. I think we don't get enough comedy in this film, and he does this kind of very subtly. And not that I'm looking for it,
Yeah.
but the fact that you have this scene, which is intentionally made to be funny and silly. So why not just sprinkle in a little bit of? I mean, because you have the two
comedic
older
moment
ladies.
is the two older ladies shitting on the grandma still like, not a good look
Right.
for her, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
that's what I'm
she got
saying.
the
So
worst.
you have something like that. So why don't you just sprinkle in more comedy then, rather than everything is so
Not
heavy
his
throughout the second?
style. Honestly, not as good writing too. Just better writing probably could have incorporated that a little better. Because if you take a step back from the whole story, a lot of this is kind of silly, right?
Yes.
So that's just my thought of it. But let's get into our ratings now, actually, before we get to our spoiler section, because there's a lot we want to talk about, but it's kind of hard to hold back on these ones. I'll start with you, Marco. What was your rating of Lee Cronin's The Mummy?
I'll give it 2.5 stars. You don't really got to rush to see it. If you're curious, maybe catch a matinee or wait for streaming.
What about you, Nimbo?
I think I'm going to give this 3 stars. I give it a little higher on my letterbox, but like talking through it a little bit more, it makes me feel like it's a bit sillier than it should be. but I do think it's an interesting watch. Like as far as the Mummy series of films have come out, it's not like the Brendan Fraser ones, but if you do like the horror films, like Evil Dead Rise or any Evil Dead film, to be honest, like I think it's a worthy watch.
That's kind of where I gave it a 3 star as well. I think it's entertaining enough. I don't know if you need to rush out and see it, but honestly, it's probably a better experience to see this in theaters as opposed to at home anyways.
Yeah.
Seems like one of those kind of movies. If you have a better crowd too, it'd probably be better. But overall, I thought it has its moments, is why I gave it a 3 overall. So there's enough here that I could still at least, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, like you said, but if you're a big horror fan, you might find some stuff here that you like. So, and I can entirely see why some people really like this movie, but
Yeah.
like we're talking about, it's not as great as it could have been. So let's get into our spoiler section now here. So if you don't want to hear about us talking about kind of the ending and some of the scenes, skip ahead to our outro. So it's kind of a lot we can go over spoiler wise, but I thought one of the strongest moments was finding out what actually happened to Katie, like officially, with Detective Zaki getting that video and kind of revealing it all. The scene leading up to that, though, goes on too long, honestly, where she's chasing down people. I'm like, why are we watching all this?
It felt like a detective, like True Detective.
Dude, what's going on? I thought she killed the magician lady. I'm like, oh, she's dead.
It looked like
Yeah.
she did.
Apparently didn't.
She's
but
a good shot, apparently.
Apparently, there's good
yeah,
healthcare
she just
system
knew.
there.
She's like, I know how to take him out. But I know it goes on too long though with it. But just finding out, it is pretty like not just horror. It's just kind of fucked up, actually, honestly, because you find out like, oh, like you get a younger body because you got to transfer this demon over to it, and they've been doing it for 82 generations, so their whole family's in on it. And by the way, which I wanted to bring up, I didn't want to kind of spoil it, but the scene in the beginning of the movie where you reveal like their house is located on top of like where an ancient pyramid was pretty fucking cool looking, by the way. I think that's one of the coolest sets. I really like the look of that whole kind of sequence too. If only the rest of the movie kind of followed through with that. I was like, this would have been pretty cool. But
Yeah,
I
again,
do
the
that.
Egyptian stuff is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like the reveal too of the ritual thing. Like they mention like human trafficking and stuff like that, and I thought it was a really good metaphor for that too, like transferring the trauma of that to someone else. Though I do wish it would have just been some ancient magic that just transformed her into a mummy and not like a possession, quote unquote. Because then like I don't know. To me, I think that would have been better because it's a little different, not exactly the same. It's just like some, ancient magic or something that turns you into a mummy if you're in that tomb or whatever. But I'll take it. It's still pretty cool.
I think it's odd that from a story perspective, these guys are technically the good guys. If you look at it from a certain,
they just
kind
have
of
to do
view.
a horrific thing in order to achieve it.
Yeah, in order because they have to protect the world from this evil entity from going out. So why wouldn't, if the family's been doing it for generations, why wouldn't they just sacrifice themselves as part of this? Like, we are sacrificing ourselves for the world, instead of finding some random kid or whatever to do this for. Like they could have just done it within the family. So that's my one thing that I thought was a plot hole. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then
Because they're shitheads, Nabil. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll sacrifice.
Honestly.
Because they're like, you have 3 kids. Any one of them would have been able to do it, you know, and you raise them to be like, this is your sacrifice for the world.
But it's almost like they took like a foreign kid too, in a way.
I know, and a foreign kid, which is going to bring even more attention rather than bringing, you know, somebody from Egypt. Like, because let's be honest, how many Egyptians are going missing over there, you know, unfortunately. So
it would have been better if like the entity somehow got free and killed everyone except for one, so they were forced to do that.
No choice. Yeah, there you go. There's a fix to that plot hole right there.
Right there.
Possibly I could see that working, but the movie wouldn't have happened then, Nabil.
Yeah.
Well, and then the second thing that I guess I just didn't catch, but they watched the VHS video, and you know, the magician is reciting whatever she's reciting to get, you know, the transference happening. And then we go to the very end where I know we're going to talk about this. There's another transference, and I'm like, the detective memorized that and is saying it. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that this was something you had to memorize.
She had watched it before. That's why.
No, I know, but I'm saying I didn't realize that was part of the thing, that she just remembered it and was able to say this thing for this thing to happen. So.
I thought the same thing, but then I was like, it does just show that she's super smart, honestly. I think that's kind of the point too. Like she's on top, like Marco said, she actually does a really good job with her job. So she didn't just show up unprepared. I mean, she had like a 20-hour fucking flight on top of that. So
right.
Because Marco knows she probably had a portable VCR player in her plane. I don't know how she couldn't put that on a USB, huh? We're just gonna play it off.
I thought it was really, convert that. Yeah.
I thought that was a really like touching moment when Charlie and Larissa are watching and they're just like crying because they see their daughter.
Yeah.
Like, that's technically the last time she was like quote unquote normal.
Right.
And she's just like, I was like, ugh, my heart.
Yeah, when she cries, I want to go home. I was like, damn.
Yeah. I was like, she just wants to do her fucking Morse code thing, dude. Let her go, man. This is fucked up.
I liked that callback where she's doing the Morse code with her teeth. And
it's like her only way of somewhat fighting through it, I guess, technically, kind of. Like there's a little bit of her in there still. That's the only way you can kind of know, I guess. But I thought her like eventually like tearing off all her skin to reveal that's like her true form was pretty creepy though. But once again, it wasn't really mummy-esque. It was just gross. But she looks pretty creepy though when she's chasing everyone down. Yeah. Very demonic looking like. Before we get to the sacrifice thing I'm talking about, what some scenes we couldn't talk about earlier, especially the funeral one. I think that, honestly, I know it goes on too long, but honestly, I thought it was one of the better scenes just because of how wild it is in there. Especially that bombing fluid. Oh, that was so gross, dude.
Ugh.
God, that made me like...
the little girl freaking pulling all her teeth out. That was like, holy shit.
I wanted to bring that up, by the way. The next scene, she has teeth again, by the way. Do you guys notice that?
Yeah. I was
like, did they get her teeth fixed today?
Or she's just using her grandma's teeth still?
No. Creepy imagery, though, having the dentures in, right? Where she smiles and it's just bloody. I was like, ugh, girl, that's fucking gross, man.
Again, there's also a lot of biting in the movie. So do they infect each other with biting like a zombie?
I don't know. I think all she has to do is like touch someone, or like that's why when she licks the girl's toes, like technically her saliva's on her, right? So then she can possess her, right? I don't know. But did any other scenes? Yeah, did any scenes stand up to you guys really, like as a favorite, or maybe even your worst scene out of those?
I mean, I really liked. This is a bad thing to say, but I do like how the grandmother ended up dying, where she was not just thrown out the window and then got hit the car, but then they show the scene of her getting eaten by the coyotes.
Eaten alive.
I was like,
she's eaten alive.
Gruesome. Like, why are we doing
like a velociraptor?
And she's screaming, because she's getting eaten alive. And then, her daughter, Larissa, is just looking and it's just in sheer terror and looking away because she knows terror because she can't do anything about it. She's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Like, it is just... There's a lot that just happens in that scene. The family's in the other side of the family's in the car just staring at it too. It's like, wow, that is something you don't expect to see, and I thought it was very well executed. So.
I have not a fear, but I guess like not a phobia, but I guess I don't like hangnails, right? And when they're clipping Katie's toenails, and it just goes all the way up to her shin, I was like, holy shit! Like that legit got me right there. Because I thought it was just going to be the toe. I was like, oh, she's going to rip her toe off.
Oh, I couldn't even look at that. I
it's
just
all the
turned away
fucking
the
way
whole
up to
time.
her knee, and I was like, oh my god.
Well,
dude.
that kind
And then
of that is to show that like, hey, those are most of it was wrappings, right? Technically,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
but it was still like, oh my, and then they're trying to like cover it up. I'm like, what are you doing? Go to the hospital.
I'm
Fuck.
thinking, yeah. I'm like, that's a trip to the ER. Easy.
But then they would be like, who told you to bring her back home?
She's not well. We need to
The
keep her.
Egyptian
keep her
doctor
here.
in the World War II bunker hospital that you're at? Like, yeah, I don't think that was the right guy. You sure he was a doctor, not just a guy that found her? Dude, they're opening up that sarcophagus, by the way, and just like casually, I'm like, is that guy even wearing gloves, man?
No.
No.
Yeah. I thought
They're
that
like
was
in
weird, too.
like a storage room. I'm like, shouldn't can someone once again turn a goddamn light on, please?
Yeah.
Okay, going to the main one. Charlie does sacrifice at the end. He transfers over the demon to himself. What did you guys think about that?
I was gonna say I'm legit sad about it because I was like, dude, damn. He had like guilt this entire time and felt like that's the only way he was gonna make up for it.
Yeah.
To kind of give his daughter a life, I think. What if he had done it and she just stayed all demonic looking? He's like,
that's
oh, I didn't.
that's what I was thinking, because I was like, well, how does he know this is going to work for her? Because she's been like this for 8 years, you know?
Because honestly, anything's better than what's going on now, I guess, theoretically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People were getting wrecked at the end there, dude. To the point where I was like, the dude's getting his head bashed in. I said, is he about to die right now? And the detective gets flung from the stairs. By the way, nice shot of just the face of her, like very psycho-esque. And by the way, Hitchcockian, where they show her like hitting every fucking step going on the way down. And then the scorpion in her
The
throat. I was
scorpion,
like,
dude, just
oh
a throat.
my
Yeah.
God. And the fact that she has to hold her fucking windpipe in to talk, I was like, oh, this is getting gross. I stopped eating food about like the last hour. I was like, no, I can't do it, dude.
It's those things in this movie that I look at and like, there's some original pieces here, especially from a horror aspect. Like Lee Cronin did a great job of bringing something different from like the gruesomeness of it all. But again, it doesn't fare well to build a mummy movie. It's great for a horror film. Like if he'd done this in any other horror film and implemented some of these like unique scenes that he's showing, I think it's great. And that's what's really cool about the movie, as gruesome and gory as it is and like unsettling. It's just not necessarily something that's, I feel like, fits with what the story is supposed to be in some cases.
It's not mummified.
It is. I will say that the intensity is pretty. That last like 20 minutes is pretty up there though. It's kind of nonstop, which I liked. But Marco, that you said you were sad by it. So did you thought it did earn that emotional payoff of when he kind of looks at his wife and is like, I'm sorry.
I think it did, because I think it would have paid off even more again if it was a shorter movie, because then all those scenes would have been closer together. You would have been able to piece them together more. But I did feel like his guilt throughout the entire movie of him, you know, losing his daughter on his watch and her losing like damn near a decade of her life. And so this was him sort of trying to give that life back to her the only way he felt he could. And he, at that moment, like as a father, he couldn't protect her back then, and he could then. And he was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and protect you right now the way I should have.
What about the ending then? Because this almost fucking returns to the Kings on us here a little bit, where we have 3 fucking endings. I was like, oh, it just keeps fucking going. Okay. So like Katie's back. She's kind of back to normal. Honestly, I don't know how much she'd be able to go back into society and shit. Like people are like, what do you mean? Because does she still have like the mindset of like a 9 or 10-year-old? I'm just trying to think of it. Like I can't imagine, but
I mean,
who knows?
Yeah, but because that's the last thing she really remembers, right? Was
Yeah.
when she was normal, was when she was 10 years old.
Yeah. Well, she's shown playing with like dolls with her little sister. I don't know if just trying to bond or if that's just where her
they're playing
mindset's
like
at.
they're playing like a game too at the end. Shoots and ladders, snakes and ladders, whatever.
Snakes and ladders.
But then we get a scene where we find out the magician is still alive in prison now, and everybody's basically there to mess her up. So Hilarious is there,
I know, right?
shoots her up with some stuff to make her pretty much, not be able to move. And they bring Charlie out there, who's mummified now, and basically, and then the detectives there too. They're basically like closing the door, and they're about to transfer it over to this chick, so Charlie can come back. Basically, what did you guys think about that?
Yeah, I thought it was a good ending, but I'm glad that they didn't do that. Like that seemed like almost like it was going to be a like mid credits or something like that. Scene. I think it was good that they did that. And again, I go back to saying like that's what should have happened all along was that it goes back to the family. So there you go, I guess. But at least to me, it leaves everybody with a kind of happy ending.
Happy ending, yeah. I was like, oh, I guess it worked out for him. So
yeah,
I like that the mom says Katie wants to know if you want to see a magic trick, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, got her back, dude.
Yep.
But that was very reminiscent when he comes in kind of in the shadows of like the original 1930s one. I was like, ooh, look at this little throwback nod.
Nice.
So before we end it out, any other final thoughts, guys?
Don't eat during the movie.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah, it gets pretty gory. I should have stopped when the bird got crushed. I was like, should I be okay with this? So, yeah, it's pretty up there. So
Luckily, I just had red vines.
oh, you red vines, red rope. All right, that wraps up episode 222 of the Movie Pals podcast. Marco, let everyone know how they can keep up with us.
You can find us on every major podcast platform, so follow and listen wherever you like. For links to all our socials and more, head over to linktree/moviepalspod. That's linktr.ee/moviepalspod. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button like you're breaking open a sarcophagus so you'll never miss an episode.
And hey, check us out on TikTok at Movie Pals Pod for sneak peeks, quick takes, and behind the scenes clips. And coming up next, episode 223, where we will be reviewing Michael.
That's not Mikey. That's actually the biopic based on Michael Jackson, by the way. Some people may be confused because they're like, is that why Mikey's not here today? So,
full life review. Yeah.
And once again, if you enjoyed this episode, drop us a rating and share it with a friend. It helps out a lot. Thank you for listening. This is the Movie Pals signing out.